Is this the trail of a ghost? Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit, Jen the Heb explains, my dad took a video of a helium balloon floating around the house to scare my kids, but captured something else. The video shows the helium balloon in question drifting in the corner of the room. As it floats there, suddenly a white, unidentifiable object flies forward and another swings past. According to Jen the Heb, her father didn't see the wisp until he watched the video back. Redditor Mr. Blistered Lips writes, if not paranormal, I'd suggest a flash from reflected sunlight off of a car outside hitting the lens, but the Redditor counters that, according to her, the back deck looks over a conservation area where no cars pass. While some viewers still insist it's a reflection, others think something is definitely moving in front of the camera. But is it paranormal? What is your wild guess? Personally, I'm going with the first option. There's a meeting going down inside this office. The only problem? No one attended. Published by Teofilo in August of 2011, this mysterious activity was captured on camera. The video shows what looks like your everyday office, but you soon realize it absolutely isn't. A chair and stool move near simultaneously by themselves. After the chair slows to a standstill, the stool jerks out even further into the aisle. It continues to move, even tilting at one point. It later dives over onto the floor. Is this a ghost meeting gone wrong? Or is some visual trickery happening here? Either way, if you work here, it might be a good idea to call in sick tomorrow. Turnshaw Special School in Kirkburton was destroyed by a massive fire in July of 2009. Many residents phoned the fire department after noticing flames coming from the building. Hurd and his crew of 50 firefighters were dispatched to the area around 6 p.m. The size of the fire was enormous and required a lot of manpower. The crew managed to control the fire enough to save one of the buildings, but it took all night and 5 jets to take down the flames. Residents were told to stay indoors while the fire department did its job. The fumes were thick and some residents claimed that the firefighters were warning residents about asbestos. Huddersfield Fire Station crew manager Mark Hurd stated that these were indicators that the fire was started on purpose. It's unclear where the investigation into the matter led, but this was certainly one extremely large fire. This YouTuber works security at a building that's so haunted, he can't even get past to the elevator without scary stuff happening. It's gotten to the point where he records anywhere he goes because the place is seriously that haunted by paranormal poltergeist activity everywhere. The building has a nice gym room, for example, but it seems the equipment is always in use one way or another. Weird things are always caught on camera moving around on their own when he's out of arm's length.
Para darles una sorpresa a ver cuando vengan, que no saben que estoy aquí. ¡Hostias!
But it is perhaps this haunted playroom area that sees the most paranormal activity of all. So that's a lot of freaky stuff to have happened, but he's been making videos for years, and I've saved the absolute scariest video for last. You're not going to believe this one because it's that beyond creepy. He lives alone and hears the voices of a family coming from his room.
Vamos a ver. Empiezan a escuchar ruidos aquí estos días.
When he calls into the darkness, he is answered by the shadow person sighting. The dark outline of a shadow moving in the small amounts of light coming through a crack in the door.
Hostia, la luz. Uy.
There's no doubt that somebody was in there with him, but was it planned, or was it a real ghost sighting caught on video? I think when you look at all of the paranormal video evidence caught on tape, you'll conclude that this place is really haunted. He could be faking it, but I don't really see how. Also, with barely any views on his videos, I don't see why he would continue for years on end, unless it was really happening to him. This mysterious CCTV video, taken from a warehouse belonging to a company called Party Packs, shows a stalker having all of his hard work undone in a matter of seconds, when some items randomly fly off the shelf, which then begins to shake on its own. Nearby boxes almost fly into his face when he bends down to retrieve the fallen items. It could just be a string, but I definitely see some kind of tall figure standing just beyond the boxes just after it happens. Something is definitely moving its head here at the 36-second mark. After the stalker runs away, we get to see down the other side of the aisle from a different camera. That's when a transparent person briefly appears wearing a long robe that touches the floor, perhaps the same figure that appeared behind the boxes before. The camera malfunctions, and when it comes back, we see them again in the static, much closer this time, studying the camera curiously before it breaks entirely. The company would stop uploading for 7 years shortly after this video was made, so perhaps they really were scared out of business and recently reacquired. A mysterious shadow creature sighting was recently caught on dashcam in Falmouth, Maine. That's worth further investigation. The all-black shape darts in front of the vehicle in a split second and then it's gone. Seemingly moving faster than any animal should be able to. I'm at a loss as to what could this bizarre sighting possibly be, but I'm guessing it's either a wildcat, a paranormal mist, or something completely different. I wouldn't be surprised if that stretch of road is haunted, so I'll be on the lookout for more shadow figure videos in this area. This video comes from a supposedly haunted home in Chiefland, Florida. Diane Fraser and her paranormal investigation group attempt to summon the ghost of a child named David by inviting him to play with a toy top. Sure enough, the small piece of plastic soon begins to move on its own.
You make sure that's zoomed in correctly?
It is. Yeah. Okay.
I want you to see this. You missed
Look
it.
at that.
Good
Good job.
Can you get that, Gabby?
I am getting, yes.
Yes, there he goes.
Whoa. All right.
Eventually, Diane feels pains in her stomach and they are able to determine that David was kicked by a horse, possibly centuries ago. I have never seen this ghost equipment or software before, so I'm not sure what the radar screen is for. If this is just a regular tablet with an app, then there really should be no possible way for the top to spin by itself. While visiting an abandoned mental hospital in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Spirit Realm Investigations captured what they believe is an apparition on camera. Watch the bottom right window followed by the middle windows. Did you see that? Something seems to peek out and then shift between these two windows. To me, the shape in the bottom right window is convincing. It looks like a figure peeking out and then vanishing, but I think that could just be a reflection of lights as the camera moves. It does seem to move in pace with the camera's movement, but the first one doesn't. That's for sure a legit apparition peering out at us. This exclusive video was submitted by a Redditor named Babe of the Dead on the Chills Narrator subreddit. While lying in bed making a random video, she hears 4 knocks late at night. She looks up in time to see her life-sized stuffed bear apparently come to life. The bear is square against the wall with no room for anyone to sit behind and move its arm. Some people say it's a spirit, while one person suggested that a person could fit inside if they took out the stuffing, which is super creepy considering Babe of the Dead has no idea who it could have been. Who do you think it was? I have no idea aside from astoundingly scary. If you've ever had an attic, then you know what it's like to hear any kind of sound emanating from above. Absolutely freaking terrifying. YouTuber Sean Wells 2001 seems to agree, as he decided to investigate the rattling in his attic, which he says only happens at night. Sean writes, "Steven, my roommate, says it's the wind because I leave my windows cracked at night for fresh air, but not sure if it's the wind." Sean set up his camera in his closet atop a pile of jeans to catch the rattling while he slept. This is what happened. At around 4 a.m., the attic door starts rattling jarringly. It sounds like someone is trying to get out. You can actually see the door move aggressively and repeatedly. A while later, it happens again, and Sean notes that you can hear his dog whining in the background. Many in the comments think the source of the noise has got to be paranormal. Others consider that it might be a squatter trying to mess with the homeowners. Though different theories abound, most can agree on one thing: it's not the wind. A YouTuber named JMX decides to push himself to his absolute limits by taking one of the most extreme YouTube challenges yet.
What are we going to be doing? We're going to be not drinking water for 48 hours.
To be clear, this challenge includes not just abstaining from liquids, but also from any food products with water in them as well. Things are going okay at first, but after about 20 hours into the challenge, his thirst starts to get the better of him. JMX's voice becomes scratchy and his lips grow white and chapped. He said he feels confused and not like himself at all, and there are still more than 24 hours to go.
4 hours to go till we're halfway, so we're 20 hours down, and yeah, still kind of feel like, to be honest, I want to drink so bad.
By the second day, he comes down with a bad cold and feels completely terrible. He does not look or sound like the same person we saw at the beginning of the video. Watch this part and tell me if you agree.
Okay, we're about 3 hours away now. I honestly just want to drink something.
By hour 46, he feels like he might be in serious trouble, but he refuses to give up this far in. A friend makes him book a doctor's appointment, and JMX tries to finish the last 2 hours of the challenge under medical supervision. The doctors eventually force him to take in fluids through a needle before the 48 hours are up. JMX thinks that being given fluids through a needle does not count as breaking the challenge. Either way, I'm glad he experienced no long-lasting effects from this experiment. While entering a deep dark cave, these brave souls nearly left their skeletons behind. Good gravy, what is that? You can see the creature momentarily as they enter. But for some reason, this encounter doesn't send them running for the hills. And then, not long after, this happens. That hissing is somehow more terrifying than a deafening roar, and the figure's features are equally horrifying. The fact that they didn't leave on the first sighting of the creature makes me think this is fake, but as we only caught a glimpse on camera, maybe they just didn't see him in the darkness. If it is acted, then it's an incredible fake. Someone's life was taken here, and a shadow person remains. Is it the person who passed, or the person who ended their life? Published in December of 2021, Drana and Mike's paranormal adventures entered this house and got more than they bargained for. While exploring the home, the spirit speaks to them. The voice sounds like it's whispering, "Help me out." As they continue to communicate with the spirits in the darkness, Drana feels something touch her on the shoulder.
Do you know any of our names?
Did you just touch me on my shoulder?
Someone said me.
Later, in another room, Drana and Mike are talking with someone off camera, and the camera scans from one side of the room to the other. This is when you see it. In the next room over, the shadow appears. It looks like it's ducking behind the door, and it disappears in an instant. Is there a lost soul in this haunted home? And if so, who does it belong to? I know I wouldn't go back there after seeing this, but I do really think this place needs further investigation. The Franklin County Old Jail, which was established in 1818, is widely known for being extremely haunted, and usually, it seems that whoever dares to enter finds themselves getting more than they bargained for. A YouTube channel named Paranormal Purgatory decided to venture down into the jail themselves to have a look around the place. The jail is eerily decrepit and worn down, something you'd expect from a 200-year-old building, but just because it's worn down doesn't mean that the place remains uninhabited.
Look at that. That's gonna be.
You see the old rocking horse in there?
Know what I see.
Go in there.
Know what I see.
Go in there.
Know what I see.
Go in there. Did you hear that?
I heard that too.
There's a whistle.
So next to the bed here, I do kind of see what they're talking about here. If you just focus on the bed, there appears to be just kind of this shadow, and then it almost seems to take off to the right here.
Old rocking horse in there?
Know what I see.
Go in there.
Know what I see.
Go in there.
Know what I see.
Go in there. Did you hear that?
Oh, right there. Okay, I now see exactly what they're talking about. So there's going to be a flash of light. So it looks like it's like a head and kind of a torso, and there's that flash of light, and then it looks like it just sort of pops right up. It happens so quickly. I should play this in slow motion. Right here, don't you see that? And then it just pops right up just in the split second that it's shown in the light. Even though the crew behind the channel had only just started to look around the jail, little did they know that they didn't need to look any further for signs of paranormal life, as you can make out what appears to be some sort of shadow figure right next to the bed, which vanishes just as quick as it appears. During the rest of the video, the crew explores the remaining areas of the jail, but are ultimately unable to find any other signs of paranormal activity. Even still though, seeing this shadow figure in person during an investigation would be enough to terrify anybody.
This is not like your regular staircase. It's just not like where you can look directly all the way to the first floor.
A man knows his apartment building has a ghost in the stairwell.
It's a creepy place.
He nods politely at someone going downstairs. Time passes, and then he notices something strange.
I haven't heard him exit though. That's the weird thing.
He saw someone enter, he heard them go down the steps, and yet they never leave.
Hello?
More weird sounds is the only response he gets. He seems like a different person in a video update 6 months later, much more cautious, like a lot has happened to him in the time since.
Creepy things have been happening here, and I know this place is definitely haunted.
This is where things get weird in a creepy way. The door he just came through is now open, and downstairs is a dark space that suddenly clears up.
What is that? I gotta look at that. That was a shadow figure.
When he goes to where the alleged shadow figure was, nothing's there. Here it is one more time, zoomed in at 22 seconds. I might see a small figure, but help me decide if it's paranormal or just my imagination. Ghost hunting YouTuber D-Dog Michael finds what he's looking for in this terrifying video. As he explores this abandoned place, the sounds are undeniable.
저기요. 소리야? 누구 있죠?
He hears another noise, like murmuring.
뭔 소리야? 뭐라는 거야?
He then hears a snapping noise, like something walking, and for a moment he thinks he sees something.
어? 잠깐만 가지 잠깐만 다시 가지 말고.
Then there's a jingling right next to him. A series of unexplained events happen. Later in that same room, more mysterious things unfold.
조금만 둘러보고 나가겠습니다.
It almost sounds like he's choking. Things get darker from there.
에휴, 뭐? 에휴.
Michael hears something, and then he sees it. Here it is again. There's definitely a shadow moving in the darkness. Is it a person or a spirit? My vote is for the latter, because I don't think I've ever seen a creepier house. It's after hours at a hardware store when this red balloon floats into view for no reason at all. The store owner doesn't notice anything out of the ordinary. As he makes his way to a shelf to price some items, the balloon stays in place for approximately 15 seconds, which is already weird enough, but then once his back is turned, it steadily moves in his direction and even slowly floats to eye level, where it stays behind him for a long time. When he still doesn't notice, it actually floats around to cut him off. According to the owner, the air conditioning was turned off and there was no draft in the building, so there really should be no way for this balloon to be moved at all. Besides, he doesn't even sell them to begin with, and has no idea how one floated into a closed store. Have you ever watched a clip that terrified you so much that you just had to share it with a friend? That's definitely the case for this video, posted to YouTube by Mysterious Things in February of 2020. The footage purports to show an unknown flying object flying in broad daylight above Quebec City. From far away, the figure in the sky appears to be dressed in white and launching upward. Upon closer, unfocused and wavering inspection, the unknown flying object does indeed look like a human figure dressed in white. At times, its clothing shines luminescent, while the figure spins, launching into the sky. When the camera gets in closer and more focused, the figure looks even more dramatic. It appears to be on fire. If that's not in fact Iron Man, as YouTuber Graham Sherwood suggests in the comments, perhaps it could be a meteor headed towards Earth, while other commenters say this is impressive and looks legit. YouTuber Damien Torres is more skeptical, suggesting it looks like silver helium balloons with the sun reflecting off of it. What do you think? Is this just a mistaken balloon, or do you think this unknown flying object is worthy of some supernatural speculation? Whatever it is, it's terrifying. A YouTube channel called Sailing Latitude is boating around the Italian island of Sardinia when a freak lightning storm breaks overnight, forcing them into survival mode. They try to outrun the storm at first, but the winds are much too strong and soon lightning is breaking directly overhead. Aside from getting zapped, a single bolt would be enough to fry their navigation equipment and leave them completely stranded at sea. The experienced navigator is able to visually estimate two areas where lightning is striking the most, and they sail between these two areas skillfully. In other words, they basically have no choice but to steer between two storms, and in doing so they almost get trapped in the storm multiple times, like here at 10 minutes and 15 seconds for example. To make matters worse, the winds could change at a moment's notice and bring the storm clouds even closer. Somehow they just barely managed to sail through the little pocket of clear weather, well flanked between two storms. Hours later, a calm sunrise greets them, as if it was all just a bad dream. Published to YouTube by Proving Demons in May of 2020. You might want to call your local exorcist after watching this video. The uploader explains that the house they entered is known to have been the site of an exorcism, and they were exploring it to capture paranormal activity. He writes, while experiencing heavy poltergeist activity, I could feel the demon inside trying to possess me as it did the previous owner, who is now insane in a mental institution. From that point, our ghost hunt took a turn for the worst. Let's take that turn with them. After hiking up to the abandoned building and entering through a crawl hole, the crew finds the inside looks like a surreal art shed. Colorful paper lanterns hang, arrows are pointing every which way. All natural light in the place is framed by gothic windows. At first, the general aura of the place is curious rather than creepy. There are lots of scraps of paper posted to a board, a large map, a guitar hanging on one wall. As one YouTuber, Lavender Rainbow, points out, there's a pamphlet on the wall later in the clip at 16 minutes 29 seconds that reads, Bipolar Disorder Survival Guide. So maybe the person living here was trying to seek psychiatric help. You find yourself wishing you were there, so you might examine things up close and learn more. But then the crew hears a woman screaming. They head towards a back room, with one of the dudes mentioning that they hadn't even made sure they were alone in this building. In fact, the building looks very lived in, not abandoned. There's what looks like a bed in the next room with blankets on it, a full backpack beside it, clothes hanging. Are they alone? He continues into the next room, hearing others inside, but it turns out just to be his own crew. You can hear a lot of sounds and things moving, like there are animals on the roof. Next, the door closes behind him by itself. They use the EVP to see if anyone's there in the home with them. The quick reply is yes. They also hear the words demon, as well as a warning, get out now. The demon tells them they have no right to be there. Andrew says he's starting to feel affected and his hands are shaking. And moments later, something falls off the shelf. Even scarier are the Polaroids that they find of what appears to be an authentic exorcism or ritual of some sort. What do you think went on in this makeshift cathedral of a home? A possession? Would you feel comfortable in the demon's skin? Have you ever had a stalker? YouTuber Kev from Crypto NWO has, and his stalker just took it to the next level by sending him a thumb drive. There are some strange pics on it and some video files. Let's take a look. Security footage captures the stalker peering into the YouTuber's home. Kev is setting up a camera inside. A second piece of security footage captures the stalker approaching the house and ringing the doorbell.
Dude was already gone. Look where he runs. I didn't check the way he ran, but I looked at the footage afterwards. So, knocking on my door right now. By the way, I haven't seen any videos or anything. Okay, he recorded my door, he ran off.
He hears a knock at the door.
My door's gonna open, there, boom, I open my door. Nobody's at my door, and I'm like, what the I'm tripping out right now. I'm actually thinking, is this, like, are these kids doing this, or is this, like, the entire stalker situation?
And then he heads outside to check it out.
I don't know why my camera didn't catch me walking out the front door. I'm looking, I can't see. I'm looking down my street towards the left of my street. I'm looking to the right of my street now. I'm pulling out my phone.
Kev is then seen looking for the perp down the street.
Yeah, dude, I'm tripping out right now. I'm looking down my street. I saw somebody walking, but they had their dog with them. And it was like a teenager, so I'm thinking maybe it's that person. But at the same time, I'm tripping the right now because this person cut.
After Kev re-enters his home, a car is seen in the distance driving in the other direction.
My cameras are glitching like crazy. Open the door. I close it. Car's driving this way.
What is the stalker? A second video captures what appears to be the same guy doing this again.
Another one here. But dude, coming up to my camera, there was a flashlight on his phone. I hope he's not recording a video. Runs, sprints this time. This time he didn't even hold back. Ran, same place, same direction. Didn't even hold back.
Kev heads outside again to look around.
2, 1, now. I have a baseball bat in my hand. I'm tripping out. I'm actually tripping out. I'm trying to act tough here, but I'm actually shaking. I'm really, really scared. It's actually relatively cold this time of the year.
Of course, he finds no one. What do you think the stalker is trying to achieve by this? Knocking on his door again and again. I think he is trying to build up Kevin's fear, a fear of the unknown, and it seems like he's succeeding. A YouTuber named RIS crams himself into a small cement sewer pipe for no other reason than to see how far he can go. As it turns out, the answer is not very far at all.
I can't move. Oh. Hopefully drone's coming soon!
Crawling in is always the easy part, but getting out is hard, especially with an oversized helmet that takes up more space. You can see one arm is pinned beneath him, and one arm is holding the camera. Backing out is not going to work in this position, and going forward offers no freedom either. His friends grab his legs, but the way his arm is wedged beneath of him makes him impossible to budge.
Oh yes, I'm getting pulled. No, I'm actually stuck.
Finally, he maneuvers his other arm out so they both stick out in front of him. They try a final time. He tries to play it off like it's no big deal, but you can hear some real struggling during this part. I think he's about another 5 minutes away from panicking, so I'm glad they didn't have to call an emergency rescue team to break him free. Who is standing on the side of this road? While driving at night, paranoiacs captured this obscure figure standing there in the darkness. When they back up a moment later, the figure is gone. Where did she go? I think it's probably for the best that she disappeared. This is one hitchhiker you really shouldn't pick up. Unidentified flying devices do exist. Posted to the Very Spooky Video subreddit by Yuli Bon. This strange ghostly robot figure was captured on film in Peru. The figure is blue and glowing. It illuminates the night but dims slightly as cars pass on the highway beyond, and as it appears to drift further into the distance, Redditor Planet Nile suggests that it's a costume, writing, "When the brightly lit trucks pass behind it, the camera can't pick it up against those, so instead it casts a shadow, which means it's a solid object and not a phantom." Others remark that 3 a.m. is witching hour, so who knows, it could be anything. What do you think it is? What happens when a flight goes haywire mid-air? Passengers of JetBlue Flight 292 found out firsthand on their flights from California to New York, a flight that ended in flames, smoke, and sparks. After the flight took off from Burbank's Bob Hope Airport, an indicator light came on noting that there was an issue with the landing gear. The front tires of the airplane had swiveled sideways and were frozen there, as the retraction gear hadn't fully retracted. With 146 passengers on board, the airliner swung laps in the California sky for 3 hours to burn off fuel, so that their emergency landing wouldn't be so fiery. They were told to land at LAX, as it was supplied with more emergency equipment and a longer runway on which to land. The pilot would land it using primarily the back wheels of the airliner. All the while, people were watching this scary event live at home on TV. Passengers were watching it on their tiny TV monitors on the back side of each seat. Loads of emergency equipment sat ready on the runway, while more than 100 firefighters awaited the landing. Time stood still, with thousands stopping on highways and watching from nearby buildings. As the jetliner made its final approach, passengers were told to get in the brace position as they prepared for landing. Needless to say, many feared for their lives in this moment, but the pilot managed to land softly on the runway, on the plane's back wheels. It was the smoothest landing I ever had, one passenger said. As its front end touched down, friction sent up plenty of sparks and blaze, but the fire subdued quickly. The passengers, and everyone watching, were relieved that this scary, intense event didn't end up much worse. Applause broke out on board for the pilots and crew. The pilot's cool-headed grit has since been praised the world over, as it should be. YouTuber Tim Morozov has faced off with many an entity in his paranormal investigations. This time he encounters ghosts in the Spine building. As he sets up his cameras, he's quickly met with some paranormal activity.
Стоит стул, и внизу, в подвалах этой тюрьмы.
Even after this, he continues in his investigation.
Кто там?
The spirits seem to want him out, but Tim stays. Just as he thinks his fears are unfounded, this happens.
Мои опасения были напрасными.
And then his camera keeps freezing right before something much worse unfolds.
Снова. Черт. Да блин, может ее перезапустить? Черт.
Luckily, Tim gets out alive. This time, I am sold that there was definitely something evil in this building. Whether ghost or demon, I'm not so sure, but it definitely wanted Tim's soul all to itself. A YouTube channel called Kiwi in Japan has the creepy encounter of a lifetime that leaves everyone screaming with fear and excitement in the kitchen.
Oh,
That is freaky. That is so scary. Oh, yuck. With a bowl in one hand and a piece of paper in the other, he hatches a plan to cover the spider and slip the paper underneath to contain it. It doesn't end well. You ready? Ah! Oh, sorry. Okay.
What is it?
At 1 minute and 14 seconds, the spider literally jumps out of the way and almost lands on his arm. He's wearing no gloves and a short sleeve shirt when it happens, meaning he's completely vulnerable. Fortunately, it's more interested in finding shelter than battling back. It's fast enough to evade him 3 more times, but with legs that long, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. After a final showdown in the closet, he apprehends the arachnid and sends it back on its way to nature with a final toss. I bet they're really glad to have gotten rid of it. I don't think I could still live someplace where I saw a spider take up a whole entire room of a corner before. At least not until it was taken out of the house, and I'm definitely not sure if I would have been brave enough to try and capture it. Talk about scary stuff. Ghosts love to play games. This playful ghost was caught in a short clip by Janeth Mendoza Ponce and posted on Facebook. Ponce writes, "My daughter playing outside Northside High School caught this video. Ghost or not, looks creepy to me. Since it was only them, 3 there, 2 running and 1 recording. If you look closely, the figure disappears before they run around the corner. The video shows 2 of the girls racing towards the opposite end of the school buildings. Then suddenly a 3rd figure appears, running perpendicular along the opposite building. As Ponce stated, the figure does seem to disappear before the girls arrive. If you watch closely, it does appear that something is behind there, and that's where the figure emerges. Many in the comments familiar with the area insist that the field house is haunted. Whether you take the skeptic's word for it or the believers, the shadow creature is here to stay. This resident is documenting their haunting, and it's about to get very real. Shared by YouTuber The Real Texas Ghost Hunters. This video's original source is YouTube channel Sabia L. The resident starts singing to themselves to remain calm, but it doesn't help matters. The object continues to move, but eventually slows to a stop after calming down. The sound starts up again. The poltergeist moves from the bedroom to the kitchen. There's nothing there, that we can see at least. I don't know if this is real or not, but it absolutely terrifies me to my very core. I feel like we all need to check under our beds. A cat caught on tape trying to capture a ghost. Daryl Zen published this video in 2012 with the description, "Just a little video of my buddy taping his possessed cat. Also has a ghost orb flash by. The cat starts up in the corner of the door frame. Next to the ceiling, she is looking all over, looking towards the ceiling and balanced between 2 door frames, just as one of the cat owners says, 'What's she going to do?' A blue streak, the orb in question, flies across the camera lens from the upper right of the screen to the lower left. The man who's filming notices it and says it was weird.
What's she gonna do?
Now that was weird.
But his partner didn't see it. Did the couple's cat sense the ghost in the room? Is that why he'd ninja his way to the top of the door frames? It's more than possible. However, some skeptics in the comments section say that the cat is acting perfectly normal and that the orb looks like a paper airplane. What do you think? Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Buddy and Rascal. This two-part submission starts with a photo. The Redditor wrote, "Caught this face while me and my mom were putting the boards on our basement windows. Our house was built in 1901. This image got a ton of upvotes with commenters praising its realness and asking for more evidence. The Redditor then posted a video writing, "Here is a video of our basement. I personally don't see anything, but if you guys do, please let me know." In the comments, Wrangler Greedy 2976 thought they saw movement in the crawl space at the 16-second mark.
So you walk down here, and the first thing you're greeted by is our crawl space. I don't know what light to turn on so you can see it better, but that's our crawl space. And then this is the window that the face was in. Don't like this window, but the crawl space isn't much better. There isn't very good vibes back here.
Do you see what this commenter is talking about? Nevertheless, let's hope Buddy and Rascal are able to capture more paranormal evidence in this home. Fallon Taylor is a YouTuber who got the scare of a lifetime while competitively riding. She has almost finished a timed run when a surprised audience member points to something off camera. Less than 4 seconds later, a huge white bull breaks free from its pen and nearly collides with Fallon Taylor and her horse. Watch again and you'll see how close Fallon comes to getting knocked clean off. She barely dodges the bull by a few feet and makes it back to the safety of the horse pen. At first, I thought the perspective made the event look exaggerated, but Fallon later says she had to put her arm out and could almost touch the bull. I definitely believe her, but I'd like to know how close you thought the bull was when you first saw this video. Nobody is sure what the US forces are doing in this 2014 video taken from an undisclosed location somewhere in New Mexico apparently. Soldiers kneel down as a blast rips through the air. It looks like it hits nothing at all, but then the edges of the ripple inward to reveal what could be the outline of a giant round invisible creature. Some people are claiming this is simply a drill using new technology we don't know about. Others say that this is not an exercise at all, but rather a real desert battle with a creature. Listen to the noise it makes and tell me if you think this is the sound of a passing fighter jet or the terrifying roar of a real monster.
That's 3 good hits.
A crowd gathers to sing in front of a statue. After a while, her mouth begins to move as she mouths the words of the song with them. Over 100 people agree that they can clearly see the statue blink and sing with joy. I would have liked to have seen this happen with a high-resolution camera. Until then, I think that this was probably just video grain, creating the appearance of movement. When UPS shows up at your door and you haven't ordered anything, be wary. Published to YouTube in May of 2020 by NeoSum. This Ring doorbell footage from a London home shows a man dressed in a UPS coat and holding a package ring the homeowner's doorbell. As he's waiting, he appears preoccupied on the phone. The homeowner answers, and that's when things go off the rails. A moment later, the man barges in, and 3 others come in after him. News reports from May of 2020 clarify that the suspects barged in, demanding a security box from the father. 2 men were charged in the matter. All the more reason not to open the door to anyone. A YouTuber named Joe Hall takes to the streets in search of the supposedly supernatural, black-eyed ghost children who come out at 3 a.m. This trek eventually turns into a long walk along the railroad tracks in the middle of the night. They are just about to give up when one of them spots a small piece of white fabric flapping in the bushes.
Oh my god. What is that thing?
We gotta get out of here, man.
That thing right there, you see it?
Yeah, well, why are we here?
Let's go.
From the shadows comes a person draped in a white gown, just like the legends say. However, I think there's probably a strong chance that this was one of their friends because it pretty much looks and runs like a normal person in my opinion. It's following them for a while, but then it disappears at exactly 11 minutes and 3 seconds, which is strange, though it could be achieved with some simple editing. They reach their ride a minute later, and shortly before they peel off, this white piece of fabric flaps behind them. Maybe I was wrong about my earlier assumption about this being made up. Unfortunately, we never do get to see its face to tell if the eyes were fully black like the legend says, or not. If you're hunting for Jinn, you better be prepared. YouTube team HD Adam Paranormal searches for the creatures in this paranormal home, and they find them. The radio first signals that a being stands in this corner. As they continue around the haunted home, they encounter this shadow figure. The shadow disappears, so they try to speak to the spirit. That's when they hear this.
Burada olduğunu farkındayım. Duyuyor musun?
Duyuyorum abi.
İnşallah arkadaşlar mikrofona bu ses geliyordur.
They hear unexplained banging as they search the place.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Gel lan dur. Gel buraya. Gel buraya. Gel. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Another bang, and then their sound goes out.
Bir dakika.
Later, a strange rolling sound is heard.
Onu böyle destekleyerek konuş.
Şöyle.
Yalnız.
And something seems to be playing around with them.
Abi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Duydun mu lan sesi?
Duydum.
Maybe it's this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Durun gidin.
Was this figure behind all of this paranormal activity? I'm of the opinion that there are multiple Jinn active here. A YouTuber named BR Henry 16 is deep in a Southern California mine when he sees a pale light off in the distance. The light doesn't have the intense brightness of modern electronics. Instead, it looks dim and swings at waist level, kind of like an old lantern would have. BR Henry 16 is sure that this is the spirit of a cave miner, and I would have to agree. Let me know if you think the same, or if you believe this portion of the video was staged. This video was taken somewhere in South America, and it shows a man sitting on a table at a security monitoring station. Little does he know that he too is apparently being monitored, and not by a camera. After a while, this is what happens to him. Even the people reviewing the footage can't believe what they are seeing. Not only does a nearby chair move on its own, but it also moves in his general direction. It's almost as if the ghost is pulling up a seat directly across from him. Unbelievably, the man doesn't seem to notice this paranormal activity unfolding before him. At least at first. He is looking at his cell phone when suddenly it happens again. This time he sees it, and his reaction seems very legitimate as he becomes startled and tense. He looks behind him to make sure that the security camera is recording all of this for later evidence. Then he hops off the table and stares at the chair before him. Obviously scared now, he waits for it to move again, but it doesn't, so he goes over to inspect it more closely. This is probably the most convincing part of the video, because he would have seen a fishing line if it was a fake prank. Instead, he picks the chair up, puts it back in its place, and then puts a stand in front of it and gets out of there fast. I'm not saying that this video is absolutely 100% real, but it is certainly a possibility. Rain pouring an abandoned railway house in the middle of nowhere. The scene is set for terror. Published to YouTube in August of 2020. Exploring with Danny follows Danny and Luke wandering through the forest in the stormy darkness. They finally arrive at the abandoned railway house, which looks undoubtedly haunted with the lightning flashing ominously overhead. Once inside, they begin exploring. Everything is torn apart. Windows are boarded up, graffiti on the wall. Danny claims that back in the 1800s, more than 30 people passed away on the railway line outside the house. Those are shoes abandoned on the stairs. They head up to the second floor. In the bedrooms upstairs, there are still clothes hanging on the wardrobe. Danny asks any spirit to make itself known by giving a bang or closing a door. He might regret asking. They head down the hallway and find a strong lock on the door. A piece of the door has been broken clean off. They enter the room and it looks like someone has been living there. A wardrobe stands in the corner. As they look around the room, suddenly the wardrobe is pushed aggressively over, revealing a woman dressed in white with a pale face and dark hair. Hidden in the corner, she starts to approach them. Needless to say, the explorers scream and flee the scene as though their lives depend on it, because they do.
Thanks, pal. Can you hear that thunder? What's that noise? I hear something coming from them. Probably rats.
While attempting to give a virtual tour of his home, this YouTuber discovers something unsettling. His home is haunted. Let's take a look. Notice that the table and chairs are all set. Everything appears normal. He passes them again on the tour. Again, normal. After touring the rest of the house, he returns to the dining room. This is where things get spooky. I don't know about you, but that creepy ending definitely left me feeling very unsettled. Imagine being alone in your house when a toy starts speaking over and over again, like someone is rapidly pressing its button. That's exactly what happened one day to a YouTuber named Melinda Wolf Miller with her child's Mickey Mouse toy. She bravely took out her phone and started recording. The toy makes some low noises at first, but once she says something about it, it apparently becomes very aggressive and starts growling in response.
Something is in the toy box is possessed.
It almost sounds like the toy is saying somebody in between snarling. I don't think that the two toys on top of Mickey Mouse are heavy enough to activate the bottom, so I'm honestly not sure what's happening here. Peel your eyes back for this one. Published by Kisa Weba in January of 2022, this scary video has been trending in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. The video was shared with Kisa Weba by a subscriber who said he'd found the footage on Reddit. The original poster claimed to have crossed paths with this mud monster on the way home one day. The footage shows a creepy female mud-like creature sitting in the middle of a dirt road. The mysterious creature has long arms with a peculiar appendage where the hand should be. The hand features long Gumby-like fingers that appear to contract as the cameraman walks toward her. The figure's back is also strangely indented. It looks as if parts of the figure are blurred out for discretion, but as the cameraman walks toward her, the other hand reaches over, revealing the same elongated fingers as the first. There also appears to be a trail several feet down the road, dragged by the figure, but it ends as if the creature dropped to the earth there from the middle of nowhere. What is this mud monster? And what exactly is she doing here? I guess we'll never know for sure. These are the home videos of two of the most evil Canadians ever, Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. The pair are a husband and wife team who took at least 3 lives in the early 90s. Although these home videos show the couple's normal everyday life, their wedding day, celebrating holidays, etc., investigators were haunted by the secret home videos of the pair committing horrific acts. After a plea bargain in which Carla claimed to have been an unwilling accomplice, she was sentenced to only 12 years, while Paul received a life sentence. However, the videotapes that came out after the plea agreement showed that Carla had been much more active in the events than she had claimed. Subsequently, the Canadian press called her deal with prosecutors the deal with the devil. Carla was released from prison in 2005. She's now remarried and lives in Quebec. This footage was taken after hours by a staff member on a college campus in North Yorkshire. It was shot through a classroom window and shows the outline of a person attentively studying at a computer, seemingly without knowing that they were being filmed. The only problem is that no one else should have been in the building at the time. The video could be CGI, or it could be the actual weightless black mass of a real ghost.
Wait, that's the moon on the right. So what the that?
A TikToker named Zandorf looks up to see a large object dwarfing the moon.
Oh yeah, it is dude on mine. You just have to line it up right.
It's not a street lamp because there's nothing underneath of it. Stranger still, the moon isn't even visible on his friend's phone when he tries to take a picture. So is Zandorf really telling the truth?
You don't see anything. Like we need to take a picture of like the difference.
That's so weird. What the there it is. Look.
I think that the larger object could actually be the real moon, which makes the smaller circle a lens flare. This is the only explanation that makes sense to me, unless he really was looking at something much larger and many times brighter than the moon itself. An unexplained ghost sighting caught on camera by Chris Allen looks real enough to have me beyond creeped out. It looks like something small is underneath, or scarier still, someone, a ghost, is running their hand along the covers.
Where you at? I don't see you. There you are. What are you doing? Yo, this is so creepy.
It looks paranormal, but I am suspicious because he never looks underneath to verify nothing's there.
My feet are over here. Both of them. Look, both of my feet. This is not my feet. There's nobody in this bed. Yo, I'm getting out of the bed.
I really hope this is like a pet mouse or something, or else his bedroom is definitely haunted. A paranormal investigator who goes by Bakersfield Paranormal Services sadly lost his mother and is filled with grief. Even though he is very distraught, he wants to communicate with her. He goes to the cemetery with his equipment and approaches his mother's marker. At first, he asks some basic questions and has her respond by playing with the lights.
Are you always around me and my wife and my kids? Thank you. Emotions there, Mom. Do you love my wife? Okay, I got it. I got it.
After a while, he pulls out what he calls a ghost box, which supposedly allows his mother to communicate using various radio frequencies. He believes other spirits are crowding around the box and keeping his mom from communicating.
Mom, can you please speak to me? You're trying to?
He thinks she says, "I'm trying to," but I think it kind of sounds like she might be saying, "I love you." Listen to it again and let me know what you hear during this part. Some poltergeists are gentle, others are vicious. Published by Find Ghost in November of 2021, the uploader of this video writes, "Imagine coming home to this. Security footage captures a large and heavy-looking sofa flip forward onto its face unexpectedly. A moment later, a piece of glass is catapulted from a display in the corner. The glass launches across the room and hits a wall. Then something seems to be horseplaying with the camera itself. It is rolled around onto the floor, while yet another object appears to be on its way to falling over on it. The scary video cuts out before the object does, but I wonder what else this family came home to." Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Kane Sweet 2000. This Redditor wrote, "Hi all, we moved into a council house since January, and we had some very strange things happening. We have a vintage radio and it has been making some strange noises. The weird thing is there isn't any batteries inside it. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about."
Finished?
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Lechiflada wrote, "That's really strange." While GameCat UK wrote, "Where is the radio in the video? Do you have a picture? I have a feeling it's a rare example of an old semiconductor picking up on local radio waves, though the amplification is baffling. I think the radio is that thing in the bottom left corner at the 5-second mark. Which side are you on here? Let me know in the comments." Communicating with the spirit world using candlelight is an old trick. The secret is to watch the flame to tell if a ghost is making it flicker or otherwise move differently. But if the candle starts doing this, the ghost is not even hinting anymore. Alright, so some strange activity is caught on camera when a candle moves on its own across the table. But look closely and you'll see the table looks to have been polished recently. The surface is very clean and reflective. Perhaps whatever cleaning agent he used on the table reduced the friction enough to make this object look like it was moved by a ghost. Or maybe I'm rationalizing a strange event because I'm scared and this is a real ghost pushing an object across a clean table. A strange creature sighting in Russia on a store camera is about as creepy and mysterious as it gets. Two people are standing outside late at night and all of a sudden one of them is dumped on the ground. You can see something invade his space. At 12 seconds just before he falls, the other man tries to help but is of little use. Whatever has a hold on his friend is too strong and so he runs back into the store. At 21 seconds something briefly appears to hover over the poor man, a strange creature with little shape, perhaps paranormal, and he is pulled off camera. After 10 seconds it looks like the creature has left and so the second man goes to check on his friend. At 42 seconds something invisible splashes a puddle in front of him and his friend is flung through the entrance. Low quality CCTV videos are pretty easy to edit, so this video might be a fake. What do you think? This rocket ride is a famous local attraction at the Luna Park in St. Petersburg, Russia. Here's what the ride looks like normally, and this is what it looks like after a cable frays to the point of snapping clean through. This angle clearly shows how close the riders are to plummeting hundreds of feet below. Look at the top of the ride. That cable to the left is the only thing keeping them alive. The tip of the ride is bending from the pressure and looks ready to come off. Rescue workers are eventually able to get everyone down to safety, though I'm not sure they felt anything but safe while dangling over 200 feet in the air with no end in sight. A student needs to leave during the middle of a hailstorm, so without thinking they grab the first thing they can find, which happens to be an aluminum foil pan, and charge out into the elements. Marissa follows behind another student to see what happens next, but they don't even get around the corner before they find themselves in just as much danger. Lightning strikes close enough to shut the power off and make some random people inside scream for their lives. Somehow the bolt of lightning misses the student's metal-covered head and they are okay, but still, I bet running out of there made it strike much closer to them than it would have otherwise. Moral of the story? I hope everyone has learned to stay safe in their room anytime it's like this outside. This haunted mansion isn't a Disney theme park ride, it's the real deal. On the Chills Narrator subreddit, Be More Talk submitted this freaky video in July of 2019 writing, "This video was made while it was 115 degrees out, and I say this because while we were filming, we noticed that someone was in the top floor of this 42-room mansion that was built in the 1800s. The Uplands mansion appears to be rather decrepit and is buried in nature. Lots of trees around and ivy growing up the mansion walls. Perfect scene for a ghost sighting." The video navigates the overgrown shrubbery surrounding the exterior of the mansion, some of which is covered with graffiti. At one point, as the YouTuber notes, there appears to be someone in the upper window. The YouTuber says someone keeps poking their head in and out of the window, but the visual is not clear. Whatever it is, it's enough to keep them out of that mansion, at least for now. You're never alone on an amusement park ride. This phantom will make sure of it. Published to YouTube by Eli Zix in September 2015, the following footage will have you looking twice. The clip shows 3 women and a man riding the pirate ship at an amusement park, swinging back and forth. At the beginning of the clip, there are clearly 3 women there, but as the video ends, the 3rd woman on the end has completely vanished. Where did she go? Did she fall off the ride? Disappear somehow? Or was she ever really there at all? Some in the comments claim that this girl passed away on this ride 2 years prior to when this video was filmed. This is all hearsay, but who knows? The truth has to be out there somewhere. On May 11th, 2020, this boy in Texas walked up to his parents after collecting a bucket full of these strange creatures. He was using a small plastic toy shovel. Had he used his hands, he might not have survived. If you ever see one of these strange sea creatures washed up on the beach, don't ever try to pick it up. They're called blue dragons, and as the name in bright blue colors should warn you, their toxic wrath will mess you up quick, sometimes. I say sometimes because grabbing one leaves a 50-50 chance of you writhing in the worst pain of your life, worse than a giant jellyfish or even a stingray, or you won't feel anything at all. That's because these sea slugs feed on much larger venomous prey like jellyfish. They take the venom of their prey and store it to be used against larger threats like us, for example. Their supercharged sting feels like the wrath of a dragon as a result, and how much damage it does to humans depends on how recently they feasted. Blue dragons have been known to wash ashore and cause major problems for anyone unfortunate enough to walk through a patch of them like this one. They also float upside down and can be easy for swimmers to miss in the shimmering sea until it's too late and they are burning all over. A group of them are called a blue fleet. If accidentally brushing up against a single one is worse than a school of jellyfish, imagine how a whole fleet would feel. The science world acknowledges this creature has enough venom to potentially end your life, and if that possibility doesn't make them one of the scariest things you can find at the beach, I don't know what does. No actual cases like that have been documented yet, so stay far away from them and you won't be the first. Imagine what it might be like to sail on the open sea, nothing but water all around you. Now imagine that same water at night, posted to the oddly terrifying subreddit. This clip was originally posted on TikTok by Oily White Hat who works on an oil rig. The short clip shows the black inky darkness that surrounds the rig at night. It's pitch black all around. You can't see past the handrails. Redditor Timbo Flex writes in the comments, "Yeah, I've been on a ship in the middle of the Pacific at night with only red lights. The stars and the colors above you are amazing, and below you is just a noisy void of inky blackness. It's like you're floating in space near the event horizon of a black hole looking away. Would you be able to stand it out here on the edge of the event horizon?" As amazing as it sounds, I think I'm gonna stay on land. A woman approaches a home she does not live in and immediately tries the door without knocking. Notice her mouth open a little in surprise when she sees the doorbell cam. It looks like she is in big trouble and knows it. I have little doubt that this woman would have taken whatever she could if the door was unlocked because, according to the description, she apparently tried the door just 10 minutes after watching the owners leave. She's also wearing jogging clothes and appears to be trying her best to blend in. Most neighborhood residences probably wouldn't take a second look at her. Who knows how many times this routine has worked for her in the past. According to the description, this video has been sent to the authorities, so I really hope she gets caught, or at least comes up with a good explanation as to what she was doing here. This mysterious object on the side of the road.
Wait, ये क्या? Oh यार, ये क्या? Oh यार.
Om Vlogs investigates. He continues down the dark road at night and spots another one.
Wait. अरे यार. ये देखो फिर से वही मूर्ति और ये बार-बार आगे कहां से आ रही है नहीं पता.
Then they spot a third figure.
अरे यार ये देखो इस तरफ रोड बंद है. ये रही वो डम्मी. मैं जस्ट अरे यार गाड़ी उतर के जाके देखूं क्या. वो रही वो डम्मी. मैं उतर के देखता हूं.
You can see this time that it's a statue. Later they get out of their vehicle.
अरे यार शिट जस्ट यहीं पे थी डम्मी यार. मैं यहाँ से आया था. यहाँ ही देखी थी मैंने.
And when they come back to it, they find this.
यहाँ पे वही गेट देखो. गेट खुला हुआ है और किसी के निशान है. ये देखो गेट खुला हुआ है. गेट खुला हुआ है और किसी के निशान है. ये उंगलियों के निशान भी.
Did one of those creepy statues enter his car? It sure looks like it to me. Maybe it needed an Uber, but if I'm being honest, you couldn't pay me enough to have a possessed half-body statue as a passenger. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.